I mean, the background to this as well is that it's a reaction song, and this is you reacting for the first time.
Right. And I haven't cheated. Like I didn't even go listen to any Ren. Like I didn't even get any more of his style to know what to look for. I'm kind of nervous. Like I don't want to miss something good because it's the first listen, but I'm excited at the same time.
And you've actually invested in the experience. You've invested in the earwear.
Yeah. Like I was telling you before we started, it wasn't going to be good enough to have just the regular wired ear pods or even just like the wireless. I want the full experience. I want to feel the bass. I want to because I love music and I feel it. So part of it will be the lyrics, part of it will be the visuals, but also like I can feel. Have you ever listened to the podcast called Dissect? Slight tangent. So Cole Cushing is the guy's name.
Mm-mm.
It's now a Spotify podcast. It used to be like a Patreon show. And long story short, he's like a music theorist, I think. And he breaks down rap albums, songs. And like one of the ones I'll never forget was he was breaking down Kanye's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And he was talking about how the chord for the part of the song was supposed to be, let's just say it's G. And like that chord hits our ears a certain way and feels right. And that Kanye took it down to maybe F. And by moving it down, it doesn't feel right to us when we hear it, not something we pick up on. And it evokes kind of a feeling and an emotion because he changed the chord just a little bit to make it so it didn't sound like we want it to sound. So anyways, yeah, I got the good AirPod Maxes on so I can feel everything. I can hear it. I'm excited.
All right. Without further ado, so this is Ren, Money Ties.
Godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. But the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the path and pierced themselves with the many pangs of greed.
Money makes. I think we have to pause right there.
That was a great intro.
So that's actually a Bible passage. And the Bible passage is about how the love of money is the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
But beautifully put together.
I didn't realize the whole thing was the Bible passage. I realized the root of the love of money is the root of all evil. And I think that that's an important thing. A lot of times people will take certain sayings and they'll, it's a game of telephone. It changes over time. So like a lot of people will say money is the root of all evil, and they leave a very important component of it. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. And so like you think about people's money narratives and money stories, it's actually one that I've talked about personally. It's like I've had a money story that has prevented me from making it a goal of mine to intentionally try to make more money, because that meant I was greedy. But what I realized over time was that I don't want to make more money for the love of it. I don't want to make more money for greedy reasons. I want to make more money so I can do good things with it. Like at this point, making more money is so I can invest in people. I can help people. I can be charitable. I can do things with the money that'll be good. And like, that's not evil. So my desire for more is not rooted in evil. So I think a very important thing that I try to get people to think about is it's the intention behind the desire for more. What's the intention? And that will kind of tell you, is it rooted in good or evil, if you want to, label it those ways, but is it aligned with what's most important to you? Or is this desire for more a symptom of something else?
I mean, that's such a great perspective. I think Ren is often, his message around money is it's focused on the greed, which is obviously a horrible side of it, and it can lead to us doing horrible things. But money doesn't have to be used that way.
Let's before you hit play, let's real quick give a shout out to Bree, and let's put our integrated wealth advisor hat on real quick. And so if Ren's constantly rapping and his songs and his imagery is about the greedy side of money, what does that make you think? What do you think his relationship with money was growing up, and what has shaped this perspective?
Well, I mean, there's I guess greed is a function of scarcity.
Tell me more.
Well, I think if you if you perceive greed, where is it coming from? Well, it's coming from selfishness, but I think the selfishness around money is also going to be driven from. Well, I know part of Ren's background where it's from. It's from a part of Wales. You know, it's tough, working class. So I think there's a stronger sense of scarcity. So and I think that's a lot of the message in a lot of his songs. We're going to unpack this one.
I think that's interesting. I don't know if everybody would associate greed with scarcity. I don't know if I would have initially thought that as well. Maybe greed with selfishness, but then as you say it, it's obvious that the reason for more is because of the scarcity mindset of not having enough or fear of losing it all. So you need to have a surplus. I just wanted to make sure I drew attention to that comment because I thought that was really good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the scarcity, the reality of places up north, it's where I'm from as well. It's closer to survival. I think for many of us, we kind of get stuck in a loop of wanting more, and it becomes more down to status. Whereas I think certainly where Ren's from, some of the people who were seen growing up, certainly close to home, it was how like poverty and survival. It does become down to needs.
Mm-hmm.
Money makes the world go round. Money makes a pure man lawless, proud. Money makes a man's verb consummate the noun. Cause an action to a thing is inspired by the pound or the dollar. False prophet, preach profit and we follow. When the scholar teach dishonor, that's a bit the pill to swallow. The biggest bank robber are the banks and the politicians, but judiciary are whores. What a shock when we lose sight of live and let live. Forget your soul is made much richer.
I think we've done quite a bit there. So we're into the chorus. What do you make of that, Justin?
My initial thought was I wanted to hear where he's going to go next because he started talking about soul, and like soul and spirit is very important to me. I mean, my initial thought on this. First off, I just love the visuals. I like the way, like I know that may not be part of what we want to comment, but I love that stuff as well. I love the camera, the simplicity of it. I like that it's black and white. So I like the aesthetics of the video. I mean, my initial thought is coming from a place of abundance. Like I'm empathetic to people who come from where Ren came from and why he has these stories, but it's hard for me to think that way. I didn't come from a lot of money. Like we by no means were we poor. We didn't struggle, but we also didn't have a lot growing up. And so I don't have the silver spoon necessarily to put me on the other end of the spectrum, but I never felt like we didn't have enough. And so that allows me to have a different relationship with money and to just see money and see it through a lens of changing people and corrupting people and greed and negativity is really hard. And that takes me to, like, does he look at the world like that for everything? Like, can you see money through this negative lens, but then see positive and optimism elsewhere? And I know this is a song, so this may not be how he always talks and sees the world, but that's my initial thought. Is just the energy of the song is to me low vibrational, low frequency, understandably why, and that's hard for me to fully relate to.
Yeah, I mean, I was really interested in this idea of, I'm interested every time I hear you say it, where you express money as energy that can either be low or high frequency. I mean, Ren's message is definitely around, like, the dangers of the bad, I suppose, rather than the possibilities of the good. But I mean, I think it's interesting challenging the model. We could set society up lots of different ways. We chose money. Was once barter stones, and for good or bad, that's how the system works. It's difficult to change the system.
Mm-hmm. And he does use the saying, like, money makes the world go round. And I mean, I think it's important to accept like that money is something we have to deal with. We can't turn a blind eye to it. So whatever our relationship is with it, however it makes us feel, whatever we feel about it, we can't push that to the side and not deal with it. And so, thinking if Ren was coming to me to say, hey, like, I'm tired of having this relationship with money, I want to change it. Like, I'm thinking of working through all of the things he's been through in the past and helping him see it from a different lens, because you can't escape it. And so if you think of money as negative and all of the negativity around it, it's all it's ever going to be. And there is a positive side to money. There are a lot of people who do a lot of great things with money, but trying to turn a blind eye and not having conversations about it, not looking at your budget and just like pretending like money's not there, you can't escape it. Like, that's why going through the transition from financial advisor to integrated wealth advisor, there was a period of time where I thought, I'm just not going to do the money part anymore. I've done 20 years of financial planning. I'm good at it, but I don't love it. It doesn't excite me as much as the other stuff. But then what I realized was the skill set of being able to talk money and be able to plan with money and help people align their money differentiated me from every other kind of coach that would be out there. And the reality of it is we can't escape money. So why would I not use this skill set that I have to help it? It's unavoidable. So addressing your relationship, whether it's good or bad, is an important part of how you're going to navigate through the world, because money's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I think exactly right. All right, let's carry on.
Made much richer by the love that you give. If you're living just to make a living, that's all that is. And when you're lying, slowly dying, will you die with a grin? Now digging up the root of evil, money too like a blade. You can slice across the jugular or carve and create. But when the money ain't the means, but the means is the money, you start to compromise ideals for dollars, morals get bloody. Now let me tell you a little story about a boy named Bren. Born March 1990 in the Celtic Welsh ends. We didn't have much, but mum and dad, they made enough to put hot meals on the table, fill our bellies full of love. A little sister fell into the picture. Oh my God, we loved her, made our family richer. Then we both got older, world a little colder. Life, it had a way of chipping away at that shoulder. I held her and I told her, hierarchy, status exists. Sometimes the purity of youth gets snatched, leaving you stripped. You'll learn that love is not enough, it's not a world for a kid. So toughen up and buckle up, because it's bumpy as shit. And there'll be those who take advantage of the light in your soul. And there'll be times you feel the cup you're filling leaking with holes. And that dark can get much darker, we all must grow old. But listen up, my little sister, hold these words to your close. Keep that kind heart kind, humankind are in need. Never ever let this world make you bitter like me, because this world needs love, and love it leaks from you, see. Sis, this world needs light, and you're the brightest I see. I see your wings have feather more than ever. Mine were torn by my oppressor. Sickness scorn me, but whatever. By your side we fly together. Give me flight when I could never. A releasing of the pressure, and the pressure makes a diamond. I will shine with you forever. Fuck greed, fuck depression, fuck bullies, fuck the jealous. Fuck every man who made you feel less than a treasure. And fuck a world that makes us feel small. Fuck the forces that divide us. Now's the time to stand tall, because money 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 makes the
Yeah.
We could have probably stopped that like 5 or 6 times through that spurt. I was jotting down little words to hopefully bring me back to the things that I heard of.
Yeah, I mean, we can skip back. I didn't want to stop because it gets into the story, and it's such a great story. What were you thinking?
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. The first thing I caught that I liked, I don't know what the whole line was, and don't try to go find it because I don't remember exactly where it was, but where he's talking about money ain't the means, and he flipped it when means is the money. Like that, I really liked that line, and I think it's important to understand like the relationship of, is money a means to an end, and those types of things. And then the other line that I really liked that he said that jumped out because of the work that I do is living just to make a living. And so I don't think anybody in your audience knows anything about me yet. So like real high level, like my focus is I believe we have an authentic life that we're supposed to live, one that's unique to us. And in that authentic life, we have unique gifts and talents that allow us to do things that no one else can do. Like not very many advisors can break down rap songs like Paul. Is that changing the world? Probably not, but it's something unique to him that he can share with the world. So I hate to think about people living just to make a living. And going back to my last comment about money is unescapable, we have to know it. We have to be able to have it. In an ideal world, when I hear living just to make a living, I think that means that what we do defines who we are. And maybe I'm taking this in a path that's different than what Ren meant, but what we do doesn't have to define us, and I don't know if it should define us. What we do is just something that we do. It's a part of who we are. But living just to make a living does not sound like something that I want to do. I want my living to support my living, if that makes sense. I want it to be the other way around. What I do allows me to live life. I don't want to live life just to make the money.
Yeah, living just to make a living. It's surviving rather than thriving. There's a great lyric in a song by a band called The Verve, who were from a town in England near me, and it's from Bittersweet Symphony, and he says, "You're a slave to money, then you die." So it's the same kind of thing.
But the society kind of tells us that I don't think society tells us that we need to be beholden to money, but like society tells us that money is an important validator of who we are, and that's what we should strive for. And I mean, again, money is important, but that doesn't define us. I think going back to my belief of the authentic life, that's what defines us. Figure out who you really are and what you're supposed to bring to this world, and do that. And I think that solves a lot of the money problems, and allows you to have a better relationship with money because you're operating from a state of purpose rather than a state of chasing money. And I know that not everybody is necessarily in a position where they have the luxury not to live to make a living. But I also think that can be a narrative that we're told. And while it feels very real and we feel like we're stuck, no matter what situation you're in, you can find examples of people who have come from a same situation or worse and have figured out how to make it work. So I always want to be sympathetic to where people are and where they find themselves and how they feel, and that becomes their reality. So for some people, living to make a living is their reality, but I just want people to think that doesn't have to be their truth, that there are plenty of people who aren't living that, and if one person's living a different lifestyle, if another person's not living to make a living, that means that not everybody has to. And I just think that sometimes we're told this is the way it is. You come from this part of, You said Ren's from Wales? So you come from this part of Wales, that means your life is going to be hard. Like, is he talking to, it was his sister, right?
Talking about his sister, yeah.
Yeah. So he's talking to his sister, life is going to be hard. It's going to be struggle. Like he's projecting onto her what his experience is going to be. And if everybody does that, then that becomes what your reality is going to be, your expectations. That's what you look for. I am glad that he acknowledges his bitterness, and he doesn't want her to be that way. He tells her to keep her love, keep her light. So I love the fact that it's not that he's not aware of how he is and what his relationship with life and money is, and he doesn't want that for his sister. So it's one thing to be this way and to not have awareness of it, but to have awareness of it, I do think is encouraging because it allows you to realize where you're coming from, and if you really want to change it, you can start to work on it. What do you think?
He doesn't want her to be like him, and he sees that her light, her love is good for the world, but I think he's scared for her because she's in this world where where it's other people. Yeah, so I think he's scared of, I guess, her purity and vulnerability in that, in the world that he perceives as being greedy and hostile, at least.
Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to bet that he's telling that story, in this song to his sister, but he's telling it to his listeners. Like if we could talk to Ren, I bet he is saying, yeah, I'm telling this to my sister in this song, but I'm telling it to you, the listener. Like, you have light. Your love is important. Don't be like me. And I think that's what's so cool about music. Whether that's true or not, that's the way I receive it, is he's using this story of telling his sister that to tell me. Yeah,
that's a nice interpretation. I mean, I think the light is about, it's giving, it's love. It's like the opposite of greed. But I mean, it's just really nice hearing him describe his sister in that way as well. It's like a very, he saw it. You know, it's a nice thing even just to have acknowledged, to have been able to see.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if he sees a little bit of his younger self in her, and that kind of pulls some of this emotion in about talking about love and light. Is that like, I was once like her. I can see my younger self in my sister, and I want to protect that boy, younger Ren, and I can't, but I can make sure she doesn't have to feel like I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great take. I think you'll see. I think that's literally where it goes. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice segment. It's just, I mean, the way he tells stories, I think, is unbelievable, and I think I think that's what pulls you in to his content. Plus, you know, his ideas are original and challenging. But I think on these ones in particular, it is good having the financial perspective, because some of the ideas are, you know, quite anarchic. You know, F the system. Whereas actually, you know, if you do just blame the system, as you were saying earlier, you can end up just making excuses and not actually taking responsibility and just doing the little steps, just the tiny steps, just to push yourself in the right direction.
I think a lot of people feel F the system right now, at least over here. But you made a good point. We can't be, you know, blind to the fact that there is a system. You know, what that system is, that's another debate. But we can't be blind to the fact that there is structure and things in place. But we also don't have to necessarily succumb to what it is. And so it's like, okay, the system is this way. I don't like it, but I'm not going to allow that system to define who I am and how I live my life. Like even within restrictions, whatever they might be, wherever you might be in the world, obviously different places have different systems and more or less freedoms. But within the bounds of the constraints that you may have, you can still have agency over how you move. And so, like, you know, politically here in the States, you know, I'll never let political, parties or like politics are not going to impact my happiness. I may not like what's going on. I'll do what I can do to make change that I want to see done, but I'm not going to let the system of politics shape the way I look at the world. And there's a lot of people here walking around living miserable lives because of what party might be in power, and I'm walking around under the same system, same constraints, and I just see optimism and possibilities and opportunities, and we're both in the same way. And it's because I'm not letting the system dictate what my experience gets to be. I'm navigating within the confines of the system to live a good life. And so I think that F the system is a good thing to think about if you're not happy, but don't let F the system shape your perspective on life.
Yeah, I think that's such a great perspective. As you were talking through that as well, I almost wanted to do shout out for Carl Richards, because I guess people who get worried about, you know, the political environment, there's one of his sketches, which is my favourite one, is Focus, where it's the Venn diagram of what matters and what can you control and where's that overlap. You know, as in mid-election cycle, you can't control that. Just, you know, don't worry about it. You know, and to your point, Justin, just, you know, don't let it control your life. Definitely don't let it control your outlook. You've got agency over so many things, and so many things that matter the most.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Makes the world go round. Money makes the sick boy sicker somehow. Money gets a man mug punched in his mouth. Money run the gang thug, drug money plow. Money makes open case close. Money bend love, make war, make goals. Money gives a poor man hope. Money saves lives, takes lives, money both. Money is money.
There's quite a chunk there.
I want to hear your take first.
He had a nice double entendre, and I'm gonna miss it now. But I mean, he started out by just like a crescendo of all the bad things that money does. You know, when it says like money takes lives, obviously, you know, there's gangs, like, you know, you can put a hit on someone. You know, money can be used literally to kill. But then I think he said money takes lives, makes lives. You know, so he flipped it straight away, like did the opposites. I mean, I guess, you know, ultimately the perspective around it, is that money's a tool. It just augments. I've heard it said it augments who you are. So who you are, if you're a good person, bad person, you give you more money, you'll just be more of that. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting seeing that on the edges. I think you were saying, kind of low frequency, and if he's talking about like the bad ways money can be used, that's around like the gang culture, murders, everything else, and of course it can, and that's where it's greed fueled.
Yeah, I noticed the kind of yin and the yang that he picked up on. Like he started with the bad and flipped it to the good. But still, the tone of it is still more of a negative one, acknowledging that some good things can come out of it, but he still comes back to the harm that money causes.
Yeah, I think that's his central theme. Here we go.
Money isn't, money's just that. Money's just a concept. People are trying. Tax up the poor man, feed up the fire. Money's just cash. Take money, take money, take money, take. Fake money, fake money, fake money, fake. Money ties, money ties, money ties, eh. Money lies, money lies, money lies, eh.
There we go.
I loved how he said money's a concept. Because if you at the root of it, it really is. Like, yes, in the States, the dollar bill and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, money is it's a concept and a belief system. That I believe that this thing that I'm buying from you is worth this many dollars, and you agree that it is as well. But like, even go back to the time that the dollar was backed by gold. Like, you can take gold to the next level. If that's a concept, like it's still like it's all a system that we opt into, whether we choose to or not. We have to abide by it, but it really is just a concept, which is like an interesting thing that a concept can have such a grip on people, and also control so much of the world. Yet it's nothing really other.
I love that too. Just minimizing it to just an idea. Well, the nice thing about that as well, when you've minimized money just to an idea, it puts on the table that actually, like, we could have a different idea. I remember just after 2008, at that time, like, people were saying, like, that's it, like, capitalism's done, like we're on the next paradigm, whatever that might be. So, I mean, it's a challenging idea, and I think when the challenge comes with some amazing storytelling, really highlighting the downside, the dangers of money, and in particular your stories around greed and in this example, the stories around crime and violence and a delicate sister. I think it's good to challenge the system and to challenge that idea. So you can challenge the political ideas, you can challenge the system, and I'd be behind that challenge, honestly. But again, you just don't want to use that as an excuse for not taking personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm. And while we're on the theme of challenging, I think it's also challenging. What are your beliefs around money? Like we're getting a good understanding of what Ren thinks about money, but as the listener of the song or even of this podcast episode, like just challenge and reflect on what are your beliefs around money. Do you see it through the lens that Ren is, or do you see it through a different lens? And then once you kind of have an understanding of it, like, where'd that come from? Why? Like, just trace it back. And I think the more you understand why you view money through the lens that you do, it allows you to change the relationship if you need to. And you may not need to. Your relationship with money may be healthy. But, I shared my money story at the beginning of this episode. We all have these narratives operating in the back that we've inherited through observation and experience and witnessing things. So why do you have the relationship you have with money? Is it serving you? And if not, trace it back. And if you can break it down, you can, getting to the idea that money is a concept. So, okay, if it's just a concept, can I change the way I think about this concept now that I know it's not actually something really that's tangible? And so you mentioned my fascination with viewing money as energy. Like, I've changed the way I view the concept of money. That money's not just dollar bills. It's energetic. It flows and it moves. And how do I put myself in a position that if I need to change the flow of money, I'm able to do that? How do I raise my frequency to attract more to me? And like some of it is financial planning things, and some of it's other things. But I can't navigate and view money through that lens if I don't just understand that it is a concept, that's an exchange of value. So break it down to money is merely exchange of value. We agree on it. Okay, if it's an exchange of value and I need more money, then how do I put more value into the world? And I don't know how other people receive that, but that is a lot of power in my hands. I need more money. Well, how do I provide more value to the world? What can I do that the world values? And going back to my belief of authentic life, the best way for me to provide more value is to provide something that's scarce, because the more scarce something is or more in demand something is, the more people are willing to pay. Well, if there's something that I can do that no one else can do, that allows me to put more value in the world because there's fewer people who can do it. And now I'm in a position where I need more money. Let me figure out how to take these unique gifts and talents and bring them to the world, to the people who need it, and they need it, and they can only get it from me, so I can charge more because I'm providing more value. Have you ever heard of the Japanese concept ikigai? So it's kind of connected to that as well. But I just think break it down to concept allows me at least to view it from a different lens, which puts more power in my hands to control the flow of money to me. I
love that perspective, and I guess focusing on where you can provide value, and ideally that value being scarce, as being something that therefore has great possibilities to be revenue generating. But I guess linked to that, like I shared a clip from a comedian that did quite well on LinkedIn recently, and the clip was just talking about actually, like, what is this all about? It's not really the pursuit of money. You can't take it with you. And actually, if you think having that number is going to be fulfilling, you're likely to be disappointed. But what he was saying, it's not so much the end game. It's the person you become on the journey. And I think that idea really resonated. So it's this personal development journey that we can go on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the purpose of life is the journey, and I don't think that's something that people that everybody picks up on. Life being the journey is not the opposite. Like, life being the journey, I think, is the opposite of living to make a living.
It's definitely the opposite perspective. Yeah, living to make a living sounds like survival. Life being the journey, all of a sudden you flipped it. Like, it's exciting.
And again, I never want to make somebody feel bad about the way they feel about their situation. There are times where living to make a living is what you have to do. What I think is important is living to make a living doesn't have to be your whole life story. Like, that could be part of the journey. That this phase of life, whatever the reasons, whether it be you're just starting out or you're going through some major trauma that happens in life, sometimes living to make a living is where you're at. But you don't have to stay. You don't have to stay there. I think sometimes people need the permission to know that, like, where I am today does not have to be where I am tomorrow. And if you believe that and know that, I think that gives you hope to be able to know that, okay, this is a period of time. I'm learning lessons. I'm getting better. I'm growing. But this is not going to be where I'm going to find myself all the time, because it sucks. Like, there are going to be periods for everybody where there's periods of time where life sucks, but it's you got to get.
I think in those periods of time, there's a great concept I'll share with you in a second. But like, I definitely have had times where what you need to do is just dig deep. So you just need to kind of like hold yourself together, dig deep, and just persevere for a period of time. I guess what we like, the expression though is just, I guess it's like life is full of difficult periods, somewhat less difficult periods. But if you believe the journey is the purpose, and then the journey is the opportunity, some of those really difficult and like painful periods, like, they're the periods that actually like result in the most personal growth. So again, it's almost like how you perceive those difficult times. as opportunity to grow and develop and thrive, or as pain.
And sometimes it's just it's a narrative you end up telling yourself to help you get through. So if you're in this lull, in this tough time, and you tell yourself, okay, this stinks, I'm not happy, it's a tough time, but in this tough time, I'm going to grow. There are lessons for me, and it's going to help me in the future in a way that I don't know. I think that by telling yourself that and believing it, it allows you to pick up on those lessons. If you're focused on how bad things are and how things are terrible and all these unfair things are happening to you, I think you're more likely to miss the lessons. And I believe that you have to, if there's a lesson for you to learn, you are going to learn it one way or another. And so if you're in this tough time and you're focusing on how tough it is, and I'm not saying don't feel the emotions, but don't sit in the negativity, because I believe in the law of attraction. It's going to bring more negativity to you. And in this more negativity, because that's all you're seeing right now, you're missing the lesson you're supposed to learn. And so you're going to stay here until finally you learn a lesson, which is why I think most people have that ultimate modem of complete, breaking down. They finally get to the point where it's just they lose everything, and now they can finally see the lesson to learn. But I think if there's a lesson for you to learn, you're going to learn it no matter what. And so if you have to go through a tough time to learn it, being able to have the awareness of the tough time, acknowledge it, feel it, but then also say, I'm coming out stronger, I'm going to grow, I'm going to learn, put you in the mindset to be able to see and learn and grow, which will take you out of it. Like the mind is so powerful, and it ties into money. Like the mind is so powerful. What you believe is what is going to be your experience. And you have the ability and the power to be able to change how your mind thinks. Not saying it's easy, but you can change it. You control it. And so that begins to, your thoughts become your perception, becomes your reality. And so you can change the narrative that's going on in your head. Not always easy, but you can do it. And again, that puts power. Like I want the power in my hands to be able to control the flow of money, because that empowers me. I feel good about that. I also have the power to say, hey, if I'm in a situation that's not going well, like I can get myself out of it by how I perceive what's happening to me. And through this perception, my reality is going to change. And so just little things of gratitude. If you're in a tough time, finding even no matter how shitty of a situation you might be in, there's something or someone in your life to be grateful for. And if you focus on that one thing of gratitude, it becomes easier to find another and another and another. And that's how you begin to work yourself out of this lower energy, and you raise your energy, and that brings more higher energy to you. You probably didn't think we were going to go into like this woo stuff, but
no,
yeah,
I loved it. I think that was such a great perspective as well. And it's also, it gives us a chance for a teaser too, because your perspective around how to get through like very difficult times, when you feel like you're on the bottom rungs. There's a brilliant uplifting bit at the end of a new song that we might react to in the future called Hi Ren, when he's exploring his own psychology. And there's a really uplifting part at the end without ruining it, but he talks about how fighting it is almost the worst thing that you can do, and actually when he learned to just be more pliable, like that was actually how he dealt with like the darkest, most testing of times. But it's just, I mean, when he explains, you know he's been to hell and back, but it's just such an interesting perspective, so maybe don't try and all the time fight it. Sometimes, I mean, I love your perspective around this. You will learn the lesson, and actually, depending on how you see the challenge, that can be, whether you see it as an opportunity or whether you see it as a threat or something to feel sorry for yourself over. I think that can all impact how difficult it is.
I would love to do another reaction. We'll let the fans decide. Like in the comments, say, hey, have me back, or if that dude talks about random stuff that we don't care about, don't have him back. Bring somebody else on. But I'm already thinking about things of where that song could be going, and just a little teaser to what I would maybe talk about is, I'm not a Buddhist, but I read a bunch of different religions, and in Buddhism, they talk about attachment and non-attachment, and all of our pain and suffering comes from attachment. And so letting go is the way to release ourselves of the pain and struggle and stress. the reason we're having this pain is because we're attached to something. So that non-attachment and letting go. And there's tons of great books by that. One of my favorite kind of, Dr. David Hawkins wrote a book on consciousness that I love, but he also has a book called Letting Go. Like that's the title of the book, and it's just about this type of stuff. So I would love to react to that and share those things as well. But again, we'll let the listeners decide. If
Well, hope you enjoyed that one, anyways. Justin. So that was Ren from Wales, Money Ties.
I loved it, man. Great song, great pick.